let's stay on the semiconductor theme because there's a company that Dan just referenced. Guy, you might have heard about it. It's called Nvidia.
Sure.
They're pretty big. Their earnings are out on Wednesday. I suspect, by the way, we're going to get a huge reaction on this show on Wednesday. Just want to throw deep tease is what we'd say to that. Shares just off an all-time high on Nvidia. You've also got Snowflake and CrowdStrike reporting on Wednesday after the close, Bonawyn. But I mean, the market's attention and focus and what's going to move the market, I think, is Nvidia.
Yeah, we've had the Fed speak out, and you saw what reaction we had from the market there. I think that was a tailwind. I think Nvidia, I think that all bets are kind of hanging on this one, at least in terms of short-term momentum. As I've said before, if you really look at the rally that we've really had since the bottoms in April, it really has been a reignition of that AI trade. And I think you're going to need to see Nvidia deliver here. I think, there is some back and forth. We discussed it earlier on the call in terms of whether the setup is good. You would probably like to see Nvidia probably not trade so strongly into the earnings print in terms of seeing some upside follow through. Dan mentioned the 6% implied move, which we know is in line. I would probably take the over there. But going back to China, I think the fact that China sales and revenue segmentation has been cut so much in this serves as a positive tailwind setup. We know the noise around the H20, but I think the fact that it's gone from 26 to 12 or 13% probably gives you some upside there if that's able to turn around.
Chris, how's the technical setup on Nvidia heading into earnings?
I think it's essential that you protect actually Friday's low, which was 170-120. Underneath that, you kind of risk a deeper pullback or pause here. I subscribe to the view of the world that when you're in an uptrend, expect surprises to be on the upside, and I suspect that's how we are set up here. And I would say, look at the whole space. ADI broke out today. Texas Instruments broke out today. Taiwan Semi's right there as well. So I still like semis over software. Certainly, we'll learn more on Wednesday.
How important is Nvidia?
For the broader market, I think it's extraordinarily important. And go back to April and look what happened to the broader market. Look what happened. Nvidia went from, I think, 153 and change. Its all-time high. Chris probably has it right in front of him. Traded down to $90 on the April low. I mean, percentage-wise, that is a significant move. And obviously, the broader market, not necessarily on the back of that, but it pretty much acted in kind. So I think it is important. I think you're looking at a revenue quarter that's probably north of $48 billion. I think the street's at 46. I think the numbers will be staggering, the size of the numbers. I think the concern should be the magnitude of the growth in terms of revenue growth for the forecast, because the numbers are getting bigger, the percentages are getting smaller.
Well, eventually the law of large numbers kicks in, right? Then what are you referring to?
The law of large numbers is over. If you flip a coin 5 times in a row, it could be heads 5 times. Over 1 million times, it's going to be 50-50. So I think it's used improperly at times. I'm not suggesting you are. This law of large numbers is the number of revenue is so large, the market is rewarding them for that, but the percentage beats or the percentage gains basically guide higher are getting smaller and smaller. Think about where this was. We went from a $7 billion to $11.5 billion guide. I mean, you can do the math. It's a 50% revenue guide higher. That continues to get smaller.
I'm old enough to remember we talked about Nvidia with gaming. Then we talked about Nvidia with crypto. We don't even mention those anymore. Dan, is there... I don't want to say is there another Nvidia, because this is an unbelievable stock story.
Sure.
But are there other names out there that...
Listen, this is kind of consensus here, but it would be Broadcom and Marvell. So the idea that, NVIDIA has this customer concentration, you know who they are. They're all the hyperscalers. They're OpenAI, and all of them are working, let's say, with Broadcom or Marvell to create their own custom chips, right? They're going to do specific duties or whatever you want to call them. I just said duty.
You said duty.
Yeah. They're going to do all these specific sort of things, right? And so, that would be the reason why you see a broadening out of this GPU trade. It's not like there's some company out there that it's going to develop the next mousetrap that's going to take on NVIDIA and they're going to lose $2 trillion in market cap, because unfortunately for those companies, innovation is going to come, at a cost, right? They're not going to be able to kind of do this. They're going to get bought by one of these other companies. And from a regulatory standpoint, that's one of the other things I'd say about Intel. They might be able to make acquisitions and kind of thwart some, innovation, and that's their only.
Because I'll jump